Hello, hockey fans, and welcome to NHL Draft Pros.
Shoots, he scores!
In this video, we're going to do a scouting report on Lynden Lakovic. He's a big, skillful forward that plays for Moose Jaw in the WHL. So we're going to take a look at some highlights to see what makes him one of the top prospects for the 2025 NHL Draft class. And if you're into hockey content, hit that subscribe and like button. We're approaching 14,000 subscribers, so I'd really like the help. Thanks. And also, if you want to see some scouting reports on some of the other prospects, head over to NHL Draft Pros on YouTube or hit the icon below this video, and that will bring you to our homepage. Okay, Lynden Lakovic. He plays for the Moose Jaw Warriors in the WHL. He's 6'4", 190-pound left winger. And in terms of rankings, NHL Central Scouting has him at number 14 for North American skaters, McKeen's at 13, TSM Bob McKenzie 14, Elite Prospects 11, and the Hockey News at number 13. His point totals for the season were 58 points in 47 games. Not too shabby for a draft-eligible player for sure. And so in this video, we're going to take a look at his skating, his shooting, his passing, his puck control, his compete level, and what he needs to improve upon. And the first thing is his skating, and that is definitely an area that needs a little work. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad skater overall, because mechanically he's decent. Just got to work on some elements of his skating. But he seems to have some instabilities, and I'll get into that later. But, he's also had a growth spurt since his WHL draft and needs to grow into his body, basically. And therefore, with some time and some training, things should smooth out in that department. But once he gets moving, he's pretty decent. Like I said, those big kids that, have a little bit of awkwardness in their skating, once they get going, they're pretty good. And the same thing applies for Lynden Lakovic. But, the edge work's not too bad. He's got to work a little bit on the explosiveness, I guess you could say, that those fast twitch muscles. But overall, just a little bit of work on that. All right, his shooting. Yep, he's got a great shot, heavy, accurate shot. Obviously a big kid. And he does have some versatility in his release. Check out that missile right there. Wow, watch this in slow motion. You're going to appreciate the shot. Like, boom, look at that. Just pick that corner like it's no problem for Lynden Lakovic. Look at that, head up, boom, quick release, and it's in the net. So, yeah, you know what? The shooting part of his game is definitely one of the big attributes that he brings every game. So, not something that he really needs a lot of work on in that regard, because the kid can shoot a puck, as you can see in these clips. Like, come on, he's just wiring pucks left and right here. Scored 27 goals, which is decent in 50-something games, or 48 games, sorry. So, yeah, you know what? I don't have a problem with that. Now, in terms of, the offensive potential and things like that, he has a high ceiling. So he could be a really, really good pickup for a team, especially depending on where he lands in the draft. Now, in the latest rankings, he's kind of been dropping a little bit, and it's not because of his play, more because of other players kind of creeping up ahead of him. But I think that, he's growing into his body still. I've said that before. He grew 5 inches since his draft in the WHL. And so I think that, once he gets kind of comfortable with his body and gets that coordination, I think he's going to be a really, really good player. And, you can't teach 6'4". He's got the height. He's got the size already. So that's pretty awesome. All right, passing. This is another ability that he kind of strives with. He sees the ice really well. Did you see that pass right there? Watch this. Head up, couple sticks, and a little tip deflection for his teammate there. So that takes some skill. He's got high hockey IQ, sees the ice really well, creates time and space that, the ability to know what's happening on the ice. He has that. He has that in space. Like, look at this one right there. Nice little dish right there. He has an ability to read space and find those soft areas on the ice, to put himself into scoring positions or to find teammates in open passing lanes. So dual threat already in that regard. Look at that. That's a no-look pass. Unreal. He knew his team. Watch this. Look at, he's not looking, just knew his teammate was right there. That takes some high hockey IQ. And that's one of the things that Lynden Lakovic has. He has high hockey IQ, sees the ice well, reads plays well, anticipates what's going to happen. Like, look at this one. Soft little pass right there to his teammate breaking in. And then what happens? It goes in the net. So yeah, nice passer for sure, Lynden Lakovic. And then the last attribute, the scoring attributes, I guess, is that puck handling skills. And guess what? He's got some hands. The big kid's got some hands. Look at that little one right there, eh? See, he gets kind of knocked down there, but watch this. Has the ability to keep that puck on his stick and score a goal. That's unreal. That's unreal. And then here, using that body to kind of cut in. Nice little goal there. So the one thing that I'm going to show in the next couple of clips, though, is his ability to use his size to protect the puck. But this is some nice hands, a little cut right there, and that shot. See, remember, the shot is really nice. So here we're going to show his ability to protect the puck with his big frame and uses his body to leverage position. Like, look at that. Fends off the defender there and has a little bit of a scoring potential there. But yeah, you know what? Like I said, using that body. Now, the thing is, he's not really a physical player. We'll talk about that in the compete section coming up. But in terms of puck protection, does it really well. Same thing here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. And then a nice little goal. A lucky bounce there, but still, it was all started with that puck protection, using the hands. Little dish there to his buddy. But yeah, so he's a triple threat, right? He's a triple threat. He can shoot, he can pass, and he can stick handle. So that's a pretty nice package to have for a prospect. All right, compete. Now, this is where, so this goal right here, you're going to see, this is him breaking into the dirty areas of the ice, charging in, crashing the net, and then he gets rewarded for it. Look at that, 3 guys all over him and he scores. He doesn't do that often, but when he does, it works out well in his favor. So yeah, he's got some jam to his game sometimes. Now this one here, back checking, breaks up a little bit of a play there, but he's not physical. He does, like I said before, use his body to help protect the puck, but he's got to be a little bit more aggressive. And there's a little check right there. So we see it in glimpses. Occasionally he'll throw a check, pin some guys up against the wall, but I'd like for him to be just a little bit more physical. Now I'm saying doesn't have to crush guys, but just use his body. Use his body more. And so here are the improvements. And the first thing is his skating. So you're going to see here that has a hard time catching up. I just showed this clip. So, he doesn't have that burst of speed, I guess you could say. And then same thing here. You're going to see that he doesn't have that separation speed, right? He's moving pretty good there. Just blows a wheel. That's another thing. Blows a wheel for some reason. And here you're going to see him, falling again. Notice that a few times. So he's growing into his body. That's that awkwardness, right? He's not used to his feet aren't used to his body. All right, here are the giveaways. Little turnovers sometimes. Little blind pass there. Guess what? Medicine Hat picks it up and they score. Same thing here. You're going to see, giveaway. Just, too much. Look at pressure. Just throws it in the middle. Nothing there. And then here is the physicality part. Like he put some pressure. Just put your body on him there. And he could have stopped that goal. So a couple of things. But anyways, his strengths, untapped potential. I think that, he's still growing into his body, like I said. And I think that there's a level that he hasn't attained yet. The offensive tools are there, though. Triple threat, shooting, passing, stick handling. He's got all of those elements already. So that's a nice thing to have. You can't teach that. And then the hockey IQ, sees the ice really well, slows the play down, creates time and space, all those things that you like to see in an offensive threat, and that's what he does well. All right, the things that he needs to work on, like I said, the skating, stride's a little short, needs that burst, that explosiveness still, growing into his body though, so that could potentially change, no problems there, I bet. And then the turnovers, sometimes just tries a little too much, passing into blind spots, just needs to know the easy plays there sometimes. And then the physicality, and like I said, not for him to go running around and hammering guys, but just use your body to, push guys off. Sometimes he's going in, along the wall and he's just not that one extra little step to push someone off. He'll figure it out though. I think he's getting a little bit better there. And so in terms of ranking, I have him as a mid first, anywhere from like say 12 to 20, we'll say in that vicinity. But man, this could be a really nice pickup for any team that, if he slides a little bit in the draft, like I said. But yeah, that's it for Lynden Lakovic. And please help the channel grow by hitting that subscribe and like button. I'd really appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. Cheers.